views of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm. As always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so very much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon routine. So today is Wellness Wednesday, and of course, you know what that means. It means that we're going to be dealing with a topic that is important to your health and well-being. And this show was inspired by a recent event that made the news. We saw where the NACAC, and is that right? NACAC Championship Games were actually recently held in Grand Bahama. The Bahamas hosted that sporting event, brought teams from throughout North America, Central America, and the Caribbean to compete against each other. And they had a little bit of a hiccup as it relates to accommodations, particularly. The decision was made that the employee village would be housed at the Grand Lucayan. And we all know the story with the Grand Lucayan. Had been closed for some time, and we had heard the stories about issues with regard to the air quality within the hotel. But nevertheless, the decision was made to use that hotel as the athletes' village. And there were some complaints. And the Jamaican National Team, their representative actually made news by saying that they could not stay there. And so they requested to be moved to another facility. And the request was obviously accommodated. And one of the things that the gentleman said during the clip that I saw on the news is that, it's clear that this is a hotel property that had been closed for a while and therefore started to develop mold. And they were moved to another facility. Everybody was happy at the end of the day. But it wasn't just the Jamaican team that complained about the facilities. So I decided to do a show on mold because, well, you all, those of you who follow my show for a while, you know that I've had personal experience with mold toxicity. But I thought that the decision to put the Athletes Village in a facility that you know or should be aware that is mold infested was either irresponsible or a show of ignorance, or for a better way of putting it, lack of knowledge, or a combination of both. Now, here's why I say that, because it seems in this country, we have a bit of a problem when it comes to acknowledging how serious the problem of mold is, toxic mold. We have a very serious problem in this country with that. Whether it be government agencies that are forcing their people to come to work, even though people are complaining about getting sicker, feeling the effects of mold. We have people within the environmental health department who will tell you to your face, because they tried to tell me this, that mold is not toxic. And they in environmental health. So you've got all of these government buildings, many of these government buildings, I shouldn't say all, where people are being exposed to toxic mold every single day they go into work. And yet they're being told when they complain, you got to come to work or go work someplace else. Like, they are refusing to acknowledge the problem that mold is. And I'm not talking about the Davis administration. I'm talking about administrations, plural, that have made it very difficult for people who suffer from mold poisoning. They have to either choose between their work or their health. So, in a way, it's not surprising, but it is sad that a decision would be made to put people in an environment that you know has a problem with mold. So that tells me either you just don't know any better and you don't understand how serious this mold situation is, or you know better and you just don't care. Either way, the show today is going to bring some very, what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to go deeper than just the surface, no pun intended, of what mold is, how it impacts the body, and why we need to be taking this more seriously in this country. I cannot tell you how many people I come across in my work as a certified health coach who, during a consultation, we figure out that a major part of their problem that is contributing to their physical health woes is the fact that every single day they go to work, they are working in a moldy environment. And it shows in their body. It shows in their health. It shows. And yet, we seem to be unwilling to acknowledge how serious this problem is. And I don't understand why. Is it that, the government doesn't want to take responsibility for this, and so they try to pretend that it's not there? And again, I'm not talking about any one particular administration, because this has been going on for a long time. The problem also exists in the private sector. I was exposed to mold while working in the private sector. And, for the private sector, they all about the bottom line. They ain't want to spend that money to get the problem fixed. So they rather shuffle you around or ignore your complaints or fire you if you make too much noise about the mold problem. So you got that problem in the private sector, you have the problem in the public sector, and many people, knowingly or unknowingly, have this problem at home. We live in an environment where we get a lot of hurricanes and storms, etc., at certain times of the year. And people get a lot of damage, structural damage to their homes, whether it's leaking roofs or cracked walls. In areas like Pinewood, for instance, where there's repeated flooding. Every time you get a drop of rain, you got a problem with flooding. And many people are suffering from mold toxicity poisoning and not even making the connection that that's what it is because of the damage that's been done to their homes that went unrepaired. So if you are experiencing some strange symptoms, and we're going to talk about the symptoms today. We're going to talk about how you could know that you are perhaps being exposed. I want you to listen to the show. I want you to like and share the show with anybody who works in one of these government buildings that, people constantly complaining about the mold and all this kind of stuff. And especially if your complaints are falling on deaf ears, like and share the show, get the word out that people need to watch the show. And hopefully, the powers that be in our government agencies will stop playing games with people's lives and take this seriously. Because it is a matter of life and death. It's that serious. As you will learn in this show, and I don't understand how you could be working for a government agency that's responsible for environmental health and act like you don't know this. But as you will learn during this show, when it comes to mold and human health, we do not have the luxury of avoiding this. We do not have the luxury of sticking our head in the sand and pretending that this is not a health hazard. Like and share the show. Let everybody know that Wellness Wednesday is on GPS today, and we're talking about mold toxicity. The telephone numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, 3260272, and our WhatsApp line for text messages only. It's 801-0271. 801-0271. That's the WhatsApp line where you can send us a text message. So let's begin at the beginning. That's a good idea. Let us talk about what is mold. Because like I said, we're going to break this down so that you get a full understanding of what we're dealing with, and especially if you have been exposed, what you can do about it, because you need to do something. You can't not do something. It will literally take your life. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what about mold? I'll play the clips, okay?
Well, mold is a fungus, which means it's a living organism. It grows on plants, wood, fabric, soil, and food. It produces microscopic spores that germinate in the presence of water. Often found in bathrooms, basements, and attics, mold can result in major structural damage to buildings and can cause serious health problems. There are three main requirements for mold in order to grow. The first is a food source, an organic compound-based material such as wood, drywall, and fabric. The second is temperature. Now, different species grow in different temperatures, ranging from about 2 to 40 degrees Celsius. And last but not least, water. Moisture is present no matter where mold is. Mold will grow within 24 to 48 hours of a water intrusion. Now, the interesting thing about mold are their mold spores. For one is that they're microscopic, which means that they're so small that they are invisible to the naked eye. They are very light and can be dispersed through the air very easily. They're also very hard to detect and contain. Now, mold spores can also survive in severe conditions because of their thick outer wall. Now, water allows mold spores to germinate. What that means is that it takes a little bit of water for a whole bunch of mold to grow. The other dangerous thing about mold spores is that they may produce toxins, which are dangerous to health. Did you know that in just 1 square foot of drywall, there can be more than 1 billion mold spores? Now, mold is commonly found in a variety of areas, such as basements, kitchens, bathrooms, attics and crawl spaces, laundry rooms. Now, mold can also hide behind walls, under carpets, and also linger in the air that we breathe. We could also find mold in drywall, curtains, wallpaper, furniture, food, plants and soil, and a variety of other fabrics. All of that to say that mold can grow just about anywhere, providing it has the 3 main ingredients. There are 2 different types of moisture problems. The first is condensation, which is moisture that forms when warm, moist air comes into contact with a cold surface. You will find this on pipes. The other one is leaks, which is common in roofs and plumbing, and cracks in the foundation. It's important to remember that mold can grow within 24 hours of a water intrusion. It doesn't take much time at all. Some other common sources of moisture will be from leaky pipes, roofs and faucets, cracks in walls and foundations, flooding that occurs in the springtime or during periods of heavy rain, poor ventilation and air circulation, inadequate insulation, and other sources of excess moisture. Excess moisture plus moisture problems equals air quality problems, such as mold. There are a couple things that we could do to put mold under control. The first is minimizing moisture. That means repairing leaks, cracks, and other sources of moisture as soon as they appear. The other one is having good air circulation. So having a proper exchange of air between the indoors and outdoors is crucial. The other one is having proper ventilation to ensuring that we have proper functioning HVAC systems. And the other one is cleanliness. Regularly vacuuming and dusting our areas is a good way of ensuring that mold will not grow. Now, there's an important factor to consider when it comes to air exchange. Air exchange is the exchange of air between the indoors and outdoors. Now, air exchange is crucial to having good indoor air quality. Without it, homes can accumulate moisture, causing mold problems and having poor indoor air quality. This can result in adverse health effects and consequences for our families.
Okay, so it's really important to understand, I say it all the time, that you cannot fix what you do not acknowledge. So the first step is to acknowledge that this is a problem. And if you have any kind of ongoing water damage, like for instance, you lost some tiles on your roof during a storm or something, and you know that there's a leak, but you ignore it. You know, every time the heavy rain comes, you just get some buckets or pots or whatever, and you put them around, and you just keep ignoring that. You are setting yourself up for a problem. You're setting yourself up for a serious mold problem, because as you would have just heard in that clip, 24 to 48 hours. And if it gets wet again, if it doesn't dry out completely, it gets wet again, then mold starts to develop. And guess what? We're in the rainy season. So you cannot ignore it and expect it to just go away on its own. It does not happen. And it's important that you understand that there is some that you can handle on your own, but if it's a big enough problem, your best bet is to get a professional to come in and try to deal with the problem, because many times people try to handle this on their own and they only make matters worse. I remember under the past administration, the teachers were complaining about the classrooms being infested with mold. And I remember the former Minister of Education saying that they're dealing with the problem. And according to the president of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, they sent in some guy, not from any particular company, it seemed, but some guy they picked up off the street, she said. I know she knew that, but anyway, who sprayed bleach on the mold. And as a result, his face became swollen. No protective gear. They just allegedly send this person and then say, go clean it with bleach. Big mistake, as you will learn as we go through this show. Because what happens when you try to deal with it yourself and you spray the wrong thing on it, like bleach, the mold will spray those mycotoxins into the air as a defense mechanism and make the quality of the air worse than when you started. But if you have a government minister or agency that decides that, okay, we can handle this problem, just send somebody in and clean with bleach, you got to be joking. That's why nobody is serious. We are not taking this problem seriously. But as you will see as we go through the show, you'll understand why it is imperative that we do. Now, you have to understand that while mold affects everyone, really, it doesn't affect some people as severely as it does others, because some people are genetically predispositioned to be able to handle it better than others. Their bodies recognize it for what it is and are able to handle it better. But for some people, they're not. Their genetic makeup is different, and their bodies don't react well to it. So you could have two people in the same room, and one of them becoming very, very ill, and the other one not showing any signs of illness. And therefore, people use this as an excuse to not take the condition of the person who's ill seriously. Well, I feel sick. I'm seeing your head. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Which is, again, such an ignorant approach. And I'm sorry, I'm going to use some very strong language here today, and I'm not apologizing for it, because as someone who literally nearly died from mold, literally, I take great exception to anyone who has a flippant, dismissive attitude when it comes to this problem, simply because they may not be experiencing it. I was recently invited to become a part of a committee that the government is putting together to look at various aspects of culture in the Bahamas. And the meeting was scheduled to be held in a ministry that is notorious for people complaining about mold issues. And as someone who has been exposed to mold, and like I said, nearly died from it, it's something that you always deal with. Like, for instance, I went through the detox, I went through all that stuff, but my body still reacts to mold whenever I'm exposed. And in a way, I find it to be a blessing, because when I was going through it the first time and becoming sicker and sicker and sicker, I didn't know what was making me sick. I couldn't see it because it was growing behind the sheetrock in the place where I was living. So I had all these symptoms, but I had no idea why I was experiencing these symptoms. I consider myself now blessed that my body immediately starts to react when I'm being exposed to mold again, because at least I know now what it is. And so I could literally walk into a building and I could know that there's something in there because my body starts to react. So I was very hesitant when I heard where these meetings were going to be held. I was like, oh God, I really don't want to go in that building, because I've heard the stories. I went into the building for the meeting against my better judgment. And at one point, I had to use the restroom in this particular building. And I walked into that restroom and I could not believe my eyes. In one of the stalls in that particular restroom, you could see the mold on the toilet seats, on the toilet seat and in that general area. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is not a case where you can't see this problem. You could see it. By the time I got home that evening, because it was an all-day situation, my body had started to break out in hives in different points, which is one of the signs of when you're being, poisoned by mold. I said, here we go. I started to break out in hives after just a couple of hours in that building. Imagine having to go in there every single day from 9 to 5. But yet this is what we demand that people do. Because it ain't affecting me, so this must be in your head. People, we need to put people's lives over money, over convenience, over whatever reason people are using to try to ignore this problem of mold in this country. Because people's lives are at risk. I have a comment on Facebook. This person says, I'm a licensed contractor. I've encountered mold repeatedly from roof and walls and ceilings. People, it's a silent killer and very dangerous. Please take this very seriously. And another comment that says, I think Bahamians just take everything for granted and just don't care. Listen, it's not cheap to fix a mold problem. It ain't cheap. But you got to bite the bullet and fix the problem. Otherwise, you causing another problem that, if you're a business, is going to impact you in the long run because you got a bunch of sick people working for you. So this isn't something that we could do what we normally do with problems in the Bahamas, which is sweep it under the rug and pretend it's not there. Because out of sight is not out of mind in this case. Mold will literally take your life. Some molds are more dangerous than others, and we're going to hear about the differentiation between the different types of mold after this break. But let's take this break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 4 different types of mold, and then we're going to be talking about signs that you may have a problem, what to look for, where does it hide, all of that on the other side and beyond. So stay with us. Please like and share the show, especially if you have a loved one who's working in one of those government buildings or private sector buildings that has a mold problem and people trying to tell them it's all in their head. The devil is a liar and the truth is not in him. And we can talk about it today. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here. And we are on this Wellness Wednesday talking about toxic mold, how serious the problem is, and the fact that we need to start taking this problem seriously and stop pretending that this is not a big deal. Because again, I don't understand how you could decide to put an employee village in a facility that is mold infested. That tells me either you don't know no better or you just don't care. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, the WhatsApp line to send us a text message, 801-0271, 801-0271. So, not all molds are created equal. Some are less harmful, some are very, very toxic. And in this clip, we're going to learn more about the 4 types of mold so that you can understand the difference between them all.
Fortunately, molds can be classified in 4 primary categories, depending on their water requirements. So we have a hydrophilic type of mold, a mesophilic type of mold, a zero-tolerant type of mold, and a xerophilic type of mold. The first group is hydrophilic types of mold, which requires a lot of water. This type of mold is usually found after a significant period of water intrusion, such as bathroom leaks or a flood in a basement. Some of the most well-known species of this type of mold is Stachybotrys, otherwise known as black mold. This type of mold is extremely toxigenic. The other type of mold is a mesophilic type of mold, which requires slightly less moisture and grows in arid conditions, like little water damage. The relative humidity of this type of mold is between 30 to 50%. Some of the common species of that type of mold is Cladosporium. We have zero-tolerant mold, which grows in drier conditions with little humidity and moisture. Some of these species include Aspergillus and Penicillium. Now, xerophilic type of molds are very rare. They grow in very dry environments such as the desert, but they still need a little bit of moisture. All mold is allergenic. A small percentage is pathogenic, and a small percentage is toxigenic. There are 3 ways that us as humans can be exposed to mold and suffer from those consequences. The first is inhalation, the other one is dermal contact, and the other one is ingestion. Now, did you know that simply killing mold will not prevent allergic symptoms? To stop the symptoms, it is necessary to remove all the mold, even the dead mold, from that environment. The most common forms of allergenic reactions will include mild symptoms like congestion, rash or itchy watery eyes, to moderate symptoms such as itchiness and difficulty breathing. And then we have severe allergenic symptoms such as swelling, difficulty in breathing and swallowing, abdominal cramps, vomiting, diarrhea, dizziness, and mental confusion. As you can see, these can become quite severe. There are pathogenic reactions as well, from superficial, such as skin infections, nail infections, and athlete's foot, to subcutaneous, which are more serious and occurs when the infection gets under the skin, and systemic, which occurs when mold attacks the internal organs, such as the kidneys and lungs and livers. Now, this can be also very life-threatening. There are a host of toxigenic reactions that occur when in the presence of black mold. Some of them can include skin rash, nausea, fatigue, a suppressed immune system, acute chronic liver damage, acute chronic central nervous system disorders, hormone disorders, and in some cases, even cancer. As we can see, that mold can cause some serious health problems. That's why it's important to get them tested as soon as possible in order to make sure that you know and your family knows what exactly it is you're dealing with. The most common toxic forms of mold include Penicillium aspergillus groups, Stachybotrys, and Fusarium. Aspergillus is a very common indoor and outdoor type of mold. It has a very rapid growth rate. Its color and appearance will vary depending on the species. Now, Aspergillus can cause infections and allergic reactions, and actually in some species of Aspergillus, they also produce carcinogens, which is very dangerous. Now, Penicillium is a very common indoor and outdoor type of mold as well. It's often found in basements and crawl spaces. It also has a very rapid growth rate, and it's almost identical to Aspergillus in appearance. Whenever we do reports, you will see that Aspergillus and Penicillium are often grouped together in one format. Now, they're initially white in color, but then turning blue-green over time. Penicillium produces mycotoxins. The Stachybotrys species of mold, which is commonly referred to as black mold, will grow in high cellulose content such as drywall and lumber. Now, Stachybotrys can produce poisonous mycotoxins. This is very dangerous because the symptoms can include headaches, fatigue, coughing, diarrhea, fever, rashes, and eye irritation. Now, some forms of Stachybotrys are very carcinogenic, and this is exceptionally dangerous. You may be asking yourself, well, who is at risk for mold exposure? The truth is, everybody is. The potential, though, for adverse health effects from mold exposure are uniquely individual, since no two immune systems are alike. The people who are most at risk for mold exposure include people with compromised immune systems, infants, the elderly, and people who suffer from asthma.
So throughout the show, we're going to talk about more signs and symptoms that you may be experiencing, so that you could get an idea of, whether or not you're being exposed. Because, quite frankly, oftentimes you go to the doctor because you're having all of these various symptoms, and the doctors do what doctors do. They treat you for the symptoms, but many of them don't make the connection as to the cause, which is you being exposed to this particular problem. And so they're treating symptoms, but you're going back into the environment, and it's like this vicious cycle that goes on and on and on and on and on. And the longer you stay there, the sicker you get. And then eventually, because they can't figure out what's causing it, then they tell you this is all in your head. Meanwhile, you're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience. And some of you who follow the show would have heard my testimony before as it relates to this. I was moved into a particular facility, and I didn't see any evidence of any kind of major water damage anywhere, except when I moved in, I noticed that there was a little tiny water stain in the corner of a wall, but I didn't pay any attention. Not long after I moved in there, I started to experience symptoms, but not having ever, been told what mold toxic poisoning looks like, I didn't make a connection. And some of the symptoms that I started experiencing was excessive weight gain. I just could not stop putting on weight. Wasn't eating more than I was normally eating, but I was just piling on the weight. And now I know why, because as you would have heard me say on another Wellness Wednesday show, when you are being exposed to any kind of toxin, that's one of the reasons why your body puts on a lot of weight, because your body creates storage containers to put the toxin in as a way to protect your organs. And those storage containers we call fat cells. So one of the reasons why some people are gaining a lot of weight is because they're being exposed to a toxin. I lived in that place for 17 months before I finally figured it out, and got progressively worse and worse and worse. So weight gain, excessive weight gain, was one of the symptoms that I experienced. Another symptom I experienced is gut issues. Now, I was eating gluten at the time, but my gut was like in really, really bad shape. And now I know that toxins like mold can damage your gut, can wreak havoc on your gut. My gut was in bad shape, really bad. I started to lose all of my hair. All of my hair practically fell out. And I was left with just, compared to what my hair used to be, patches of hair. So that is what helped prompt my decision to go natural, because it got to the point where every time I would go to my hairdresser, if I had something to, a function or whatever, it got to the point where I almost had to wear a full wig. So she had to put so many pieces in there just to fill it in. And she was like, Michelle, you might as well just start over. And she had been trying to get me to go natural for a long time. So I figured, well, all my hair gone, I might as well go natural now. So I lost most of my hair. I would wake up some mornings with this strange, achy overall body ache. You know, we like to say, I must sleep funny. Why I feel so achy this morning? I must sleep in a funny position overnight. I would wake up some mornings with bloodshot red eyes, irritated eyes, and I couldn't figure out why my eyes so red this morning, or itchy, or very dry skin was another symptom. Severe dehydration, severe, even though I was drinking a lot of water. It seemed the more I drank, the more hydrated I became. And the dehydration got so bad that literally one day I was in town and I literally passed out. And they rushed me to the clinic, and the nurse said, "You are severely dehydrated." I was like, "Dehydrated? How's that possible? I stay drinking water." She said, "Yeah, well, I know what's going on, but you dehydrated." They had to put me on a drip. Headaches, unexplained headaches, just head-ridden all the time, headaches. The funny thing is, when I was going through the dehydration, I thought, well, maybe this is because it's so hot outside. So maybe I just need to spend less time outside in the sun. So I was spending even more time indoors, not realizing that the indoor air quality was my problem. But the headaches, the blurry vision, the anxiety attacks, and I don't have the type of personality where I deal with anxiety, but I started having these anxiety attacks to the point where I used to have to say, literally talk to myself and say, Michelle, calm down. Like I used to have to talk myself off of the anxiety cliff, because I knew, look, this isn't you. Why you tripping like this? I used to have serious anxiety attacks. It started to affect my teeth. My gums started receding. And, I, again, not making the connection between any of this. I couldn't figure out what was going on. But Oh, and one weird symptom was that I started having this problem with static cling. All my clothes would cling to me. And I used to have to literally put lotion on everywhere to get my clothes to stop clinging to me. Weird. I can't figure out what the heck is going on. Breathing problems. For me to walk from here to across the street or whatever, I'm having a hard time breathing. Lower back pain. I used to walk like an old woman at some point. Weird rashes on my skin. In my ear, particularly, on my scalp, on my arms, my chest, my upper back, like in the shoulder area. I used to get these weird rashes. Still can't figure out what's wrong with me. I knew something was wrong. I just couldn't figure it out. The scariest symptom, though, was what it did to my neurological system. Because what these mycotoxins will do is cause swelling of the brain, which will affect the area responsible for memory. And I just started having problems with my short-term memory. And the scariest moment for me was I came home one weekend to Nassau, was visiting my family members, and my cousin gave me a mango. And 5 minutes later, I can't find this mango. And I'm searching up and down. And so finally, I can't figure out where I put the mango. So finally, my cousin was like, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "I can't find the mango you just gave me to eat." And my cousin looked at me in disbelief and said, "Girl, what's wrong with you?" And I was like, "What?" And my cousin says, "I just watched you eat that." And I was like, "What?" "I just watched you eat that mango, man. You got to be joking. You ain't serious." "Yeah, I just watched you eat that." And my cousin takes me to the garbage can and shows me the clean mango seed. And I am in shock and disbelief because I had zero recollection of eating that mango. Now that scared the living daylights out of me. Because I'm starting to think now, oh my God, is this the beginning of dementia? So I went back to my place of employment after that. And I prayed. I said, "Lord, you got to show me what's wrong. I can't figure this out on my own. Please show me what is wrong." Now, luckily for me, even though I wasn't at the time a certified health coach, I figured that whatever it was I was dealing with, I was going to fight it with nutrition because I had been taking the nutritional products, even though I didn't have the knowledge that I now have as it relates to, holistic approach. So every time I got a new symptom, I would look up what I need to take for that symptom, and I would get some of that, and I was taking so much nutrition, it was crazy. But I tell my clients all the time, there are two things nutrition can't outdo: a poor diet and toxins. Eventually, the poor diet or the toxin is going to win. So here I am taking all this nutrition, but I'm still getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and I can't figure out why. So I prayed. I said, "Lord, please show me what is wrong. I know you know. Just show me what is wrong." And I sat down to eat dinner one day after I prayed that prayer. And I noticed that little tiny water stain that I had first seen when I first moved in there in the corner had grown. Water stain is bigger. And literally the thought came to me, which I attribute to the Holy Spirit. The thought came to me and said, "Look up the connection between dehydration and mold." Just like that. I saw a water stain, and the thought came to me because I was so severely dehydrated, it was scary. So the thought comes to me, look up the connection between dehydration and mold. So I Google dehydration and mold. When the results came up on that website, all I could do is hold my head and say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Because out of the 14 symptoms that were listed on that website, I was displaying 11. So I contacted the administrative assistant at the place where I was working. And I said, y'all need to come take down this wall in my place. I think there's mold growing in here. Typical reaction. Ain't no mold in there. I say, miss, I ain't trying to play with you today. Y'all need to send somebody in here to come take down this wall. And I started to carry on like an idiot. Because sometimes you got to act the fool when people acting the fool with you. Because they would try to convince you that ain't nothing wrong with you. This just in your mind. Meanwhile, you getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So finally, after I carry on so bad, they sent a team from the maintenance department, took down the sheetrock, and there it was. Mold growing behind the sheetrock. And as you're going to learn in the show, sheetrock is one of the favorite places mold will hide. I was like, oh my God, I've been living in this poison for 17 months, breathing in that poison day and night. Long story short, I ended up finding a place in the United States in Ohio that specialized in helping people to detox from things like mold naturally. Because everything that I read was like, going to MDs is pointless because most of them don't even know that this is in fact a condition. Because, people are just now coming, at that time, were just now coming to understand that this is actually a condition. So I found this place, went there. They ran all kind of tests on me. And one of the tests that they ran was something called a biofeedback machine. And the biofeedback machine, the results were, your results would be in between the numbers of 1 and 10, with 1 being the highest degree of toxic burden and 10 being the lowest degree. In other words, if you come back as a 1, that means that you got more toxins in you than you need to have by far. If you come back as a 10, you're good. You're in a good place. When my results came back, I was at a 1, the highest degree of toxic burden possible. And the practitioner actually said to me that I was teetering on the edge, just teetering. But it was the nutrition that I had been taking that was giving my body something to fight with. Otherwise, I would have died. That is what actually began my journey to become more passionate. I became more passionate about understanding nutrition and its impact on health and, all that kind of stuff. Now, I went through a rigorous 3 weeks of torture trying to get that poison out of my system. It was nothing short of torture. There was some stuff I had to take orally. I had to do, oh my God, daily colonics. I had to do what they call hot and cold therapy. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but hot and cold therapy is where you sit in a hot tub, for instance, as hot as you can take the water, and then immediately plunge into ice cold water. Yeah, not fun. I did that for 3 weeks. I had to do sauna therapy with a far infrared sauna. There were other things like ozone therapy. It was a whole protocol that I had to follow for 3 weeks to try to get some of that poison out of my system. And at the end of the 3 weeks, And they actually wanted me to stay there for 3 months. And I was like, Miss, I can't be here for 3 months. I got to get back to my job. I can't be here for 3 months. We got to do it. We could do it in 3 weeks. Because that's all the vacation time that I had. And so I was like, just let's go at it hard. But all I could give you is 3 weeks. I can't be here for 3 months. So every single day I would go into that place and I would be in there for hours. Literally, like 6 hours a day for 3 weeks. And at the end of my treatment, they ran that test on me again. And my biofeedback results came back as an 8. Remember, 1 is really bad, 10 is good. And they were in shock. They was like, oh my God, we've never seen anybody make this much progress. I say, Miss, I ain't come here to play. I come here to get this thing out of my system. So whatever they told me to do, I was doing it. So I left there with my number at an 8. But it was still a long road to recovery because of all of the damage that had been done by that mold, because it literally damages your body. So I tell that story because I want people to understand that this ain't nothing to play with. And I get, quite frankly, very angry when people are dismissive of people who are dealing with this problem. I think it is disrespectful, condescending, and downright criminal. When you're going to tell a person that they have to choose between their job, I don't care what you tell me you're going through. If you want work, you better show up to work. We got to do better. If we say we care for our people, show it. Don't just say it. And I really hope that the powers that be are listening, because successive governments have ignored this problem. And I could list off a long list of government buildings and agencies where their people are every day having to go to work in a moldy environment. And complaints falling on deaf ears. I could start listing them off, because many of those people end up coming to me as clients because they're so sick. I need no doctor to tell them what's wrong with them. So let us put our mouth where our money is if we're serious and care for people more than the bottom line. We should be keen on ensuring that our people are healthy, because if you have a healthier workforce, you have a more productive workforce. We always talking about the strain on our healthcare system, yet we doing things or are allowing things that are keeping people sick. Make it make sense. The healthier your workforce, the more productive they will be. But instead, we choose to ignore the problem because we don't want to deal with fixing it. I want to encourage those who are responsible for environmental health, those who are responsible for these government agencies where people are working in a moldy environment and your HR directors are looking the other way, stop it. This is not a game. We're talking about people's lives. We need to do better, because this is no little small problem. And he who lives it knows it. And here's the thing. I can make this point, then we go into a break. You carry the problem with you. So in other words, if you are working in one of those moldy places and you go home, it gets into your clothes, it gets into your belongings. You carry that home with you, you cross-contaminate in your home. All of a sudden, your children start having asthma problems because you took the problem home with you. So now it doesn't only affect you, but it's now affecting your family. All because we don't want to deal with the problem. I highly encourage you. Get a group of workers together and make them pay attention to this problem. Your life is at stake. And if the problem is in your home, do what you got to do. Get it fixed. Because ignoring it is not going to make it go away. So we're going to take this quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk about signs that you may have a problem in your home. We're going to talk about where it hides and more. And of course, a little later in the show, we're going to look at remedies, what you can do to help yourself if you have, in fact, been exposed to mold. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Our body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company on this Wellness Wednesday. We are talking about toxic mold. The telephone numbers to call, 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272, 326-0272. And the WhatsApp line, 801-0271. Text messages only. 801-0271 is the WhatsApp number. Now, one of the symptoms that I forgot to mention is vertigo, where you sort of feel like your head swinging type of feeling. That is an important symptom to look out for as well. And I remember even now, like I said, my body reacts right away when I know I'm being exposed. That's how I know. And sometimes I can walk into a place and then I start to feel that head swinging feeling. And I'm like, oh, there's something in here. There's something in here. And I know, avoid that building. And mold is something you can't, mold is really everywhere. And you have to just be on top of it, because sometimes it may just start to develop in your home, maybe from the air conditioning unit or whatever. But like I said, to me, it's a blessing now, because I start to recognize right away when I start to have those feelings. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how it got here, but there's something in here. And then I call the professionals. They come in, they find it, they get rid of it, and I'm okay. Is that a caller for the show, Jason, or not? Okay. All right. So let's look at some of the signs that you may be dealing with a mold problem.
Number 9. There's a strange smell in your house. Maybe your house used to smell lovely, but lately you've been trying to mask a strange smell with scented candles. Number 9. There's a strange smell in your house. Maybe your house used to smell lovely, but lately you've been trying to mask a strange smell with scented candles and air fresheners. Instead of masking the smell, take a good whiff. Does it smell musty? Chances are you've smelled mold before. It can be like smelling a pair of wet socks or a bathing suit that didn't dry properly. As mold grows, it releases microbial volatile organic compounds, which are known to smell pretty rank. Sniff around your home. If you catch a musty whiff, follow the smelly trail. Number 8. You can't stop coughing. You don't smoke, you're not asthmatic, and you don't have a cold. So why are you coughing all the time? Stachybotrys chartarum is a black-green mold that's toxic to humans and animals. A report conducted in 2004 by the Institute of Medicine found that mold can be directly responsible for problems with the upper respiratory tract, and it can be the reason for chronic coughing. It can also lead to throat irritation, wheezing, and shortness of breath. This mold releases mycotoxins, which can harm the cells in your body. When your lungs detect the irritating spores in your system, they force you to cough in an attempt to rid the body of the harmful intruder. Number 7. Your muscles are hurting. Exposure to mycotoxins from black mold can also affect your muscles and joints. Chronic inflammatory response syndrome, or CIRS, is a condition that can be caused by mold. However, doctors struggle to diagnose it because it can look like other illnesses like fibromyalgia. In 2013, Dr. Joseph Brewer, an infection disease specialist, reported that 92% of his patients who had been told they had fibromyalgia actually had mold toxins in their body. If you have CIRS, you can experience a variety of symptoms. Those symptoms affecting the muscles include stiffness, joint pain, muscle tingling, shooting pains, muscle cramps, and muscle weakness. Number 6, there are stains on your walls. Molds can have many different appearances. It can be spots on a wall, discoloration, dark rings, and stains. The spots aren't always black. They can also be green, orange, brown, and white. If your walls show sign of water damage, this should be investigated. If you discover water damage in your home that has been untreated for a while, chances are mold has already formed. Mold and water damage tend to go hand in hand. Just remember that even if your walls show only a tiny spot of mold, it's worth doing a thorough inspection, since mold can be lurking on the other side of the wall where you can't see it. Number 5. Your seasonal allergies are extra intense. Mold tends to cause symptoms similar to seasonal allergies. As people attribute their sickness to allergies, mold can continue to spread in their home. Allergies suck enough already, and they're made worse by mold. Since allergy sufferers have a weaker immune system, they are more likely to experience the negative health effects of mold in their home than non-allergy sufferers. If you've never suffered from allergies before, or this year your allergies seem to be out of control, look for mold in your home. Number 4, you have asthma. A study conducted in 2011 and published in the Annals of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology journal found that when a 1-year-old child is exposed to mold in their home, there is an increased chance of them having asthma by the time they are 7 years old. This early exposure to mold can cause children who are genetically predisposed to asthma to develop it and affect those who are not predisposed as well. If you already suffer from asthma, mold can trigger your symptoms. If you have asthma and are also allergic to mold, it can be a deadly combination. Your body can respond with an allergic reaction, causing your airways to constrict and sending you on an emergency trip to the hospital. Number 3, you've noticed weird rashes on your skin. Mold doesn't just affect your sinuses. People with mold allergies can experience skin that is red and itchy all the time. Some of the strongest allergic reactions can include rashes and hives. If you're experiencing this, you know not to scratch, right? If you do, you risk breaking the skin and putting yourself at a higher risk for infection. With skin rashes, the body recognizes a harmful substance and responds with an allergic reaction by producing high quantities of antibodies in an attempt to protect you. An antihistamine can help you control the symptoms, but they won't go away until the irritant is taken care of. Number 2, you are forgetful. Maybe a simple thing like remembering where you left your keys or giving all your concentration to one task seems impossible lately. To a certain extent, mold can make you mentally fatigued, disoriented, and forgetful. In 2014, researchers from the City University of New York conducted a study where they exposed mice to black mold spores. After 3 weeks, the mice had trouble remembering and had higher anxiety levels. It was also shown that the spores had caused increased inflammation in the brain, particularly in the hippocampus, the part of the brain that's involved with memory. Unfortunately, some of the most serious side effects are long-term memory loss, insomnia, anxiety, and general confusion. Number 1, your eyes seem to be perpetually irritated. If your eyes are lovely, but nowadays always look bloodshot, mold could be causing their irritation. When spores are floating around in your home, they find a direct entry into your body through your eyes. As your eye cells travel to your bloodstream, mycotoxins from Stachybotrys chartarum can damage them. The chemical compounds in the mold irritate the mucous membranes of the eyes, making them inflamed, and this should be taken seriously. When eyes are inflamed, they appear bloodshot, which causes blurry vision, which then causes light sensitivity. Keratitis and conjunctivitis are common eye disorders caused by mold. If these symptoms sound familiar, how can you make sure they are caused by mold? You can take a simple urine test to reveal whether there are mycotoxins in your system. If there are, a doctor can guide you through the recovery process. If you don't know if this sounds like you, but you suspect mold in your home, what can you do? Schedule a test with a mold testing company. They'll be able to inspect your entire home and reach places you can't get to. If you've already found mold, professionals can tell you what type of mold it is and how to treat it. If you discover that mold definitely caused your illness, a visit to the doctor to ensure your good health is a good idea. If you're still unsure whether there's mold in your home, think about whether you usually feel better at work or when you're out doing chores. That can be a telltale sign that your home is secretly an unsafe environment. Mold can wreck your health, so be wary, folks. Affecting your home is one thing, but when it threatens your health, it's time for drastic action. If you suspect mold, don't hesitate to act, particularly if you have young children. The good news is that 75% of people aren't genetically susceptible to mold toxicity, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. So tell us, Brightsiders, do you have any symptoms that could be caused by mold? Let us know in the comment section.
Okay, so reminder that you can take it home with you. So you want to really be careful. And let me tell you, when I tell you mold gets into everything, it gets into everything. And it is extremely important that you understand that you have to sanitize whatever can be sanitized. Otherwise, you're going to continue to re-expose yourself over and over again. Every time you touch that particular surface or put on that particular garment, if it's not been sanitized, you are re-exposing yourself. And certain surfaces like it really likes paper. So I had to end up throwing away all of my books. That was heartbreaking because I had a really nice collection. And I had to I had to throw away all my books. I had to throw away most of my clothing because as much as I tried to sanitize, every time I put on, particular clothes, I would be triggered again. And so eventually I had to just start over with a new wardrobe because, it got so deep into my clothing. I even, when we finally figured out that I was being exposed to mold and my employer at the time decided to move me into the hotel, I didn't know any better at the time. And I packed up my clothes in my suitcase that was in the place where I was living with the mold. And I moved into the hotel room and couldn't figure out why I wasn't feeling any better. And then eventually I went online and tried to start to read up more about mold poisoning, etc. And then they talked about how you have to throw away luggage, for instance, because it gets into every crevice. And I was like, oh my God, this suitcase is in here. And once I put that suitcase out and threw it away, then I started to feel better. So it will literally get into porous surfaces to the degree where some of them you just can't save. You're going to have to throw away some stuff. But you have to sanitize all of your belongings. Otherwise, you're going to keep exposing yourself to it. And, you won't be getting any better. So this is extremely important when you're talking about trying to heal from mold, that you sanitize all of your belongings so that you're not constantly re-exposing yourself to it. Okay, so we've talked about some of the signs that you may have a problem. A big problem is knowing where mold hides. It is very, very good at hiding. And it could even be using your body as a hiding spot. It'll hide out in your body, believe it or not. Because remember now, moist surfaces or moist environments are perfect. So what more perfect place than in your nose, for instance? It even likes to get into your ears. And you heard the clip talk about it going into your eyes. And for women in particular, it could go into other places that are moist. So you got to be aware of where mold could be hiding, whether in your home or on your body. So check this out.
Let's dive right in and talk about, where does black mold hide? Well, number one, in high cellulose content surfaces. So, these are certain things within a home, tend to be even sometimes drywall, in between drywall sheets or high cellulose content surfaces is where black mold can hide. And then air ducts is another big one. And then high moisture spots where there's a lot of moisture. They tend to have more of these issues with mold growing within the home. But again, if there's a lot of moisture in a home, they can also hide, as we talked about, in the HVAC or air conditioning systems. High moisture spots is an area you can look for black mold. And then also inside you, that's right, inside your body is a place where black mold or mold can hide and start to live and can cause major symptoms there as well. In fact, I had a mentor who I worked with, a doctor now, who actually came down with mold poisoning, and it gave him the symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome, was tired all the time, and he thought, hey, maybe I've just been working too hard, but it went on year after year after year, and he realized, hey, mold was one of his issues, along with heavy metal toxicity from when he had his amalgam fillings removed. It was a combo with what he struggled with. But here's some of the symptoms that you might have, and if these symptoms are reoccurring month after month after month, it could be as the result of having mold in your body or being exposed to mold on a regular basis. Number one is headaches. If you have a headache that you can't seem to pinpoint, it's not stress, it maybe isn't necessarily a migraine, but you just get headaches really frequently, sort of a headache that's just a dull pain around your entire head, that could be due to mold symptoms. Chronic fatigue syndrome, if you are chronically tired every day, that could be due to mold toxicity. Another big one is brain fog. I would say brain fog, if you have brain fog and fuzzy thinking and poor memory on a regular basis all the time, that can absolutely be a mold-related symptom. Also fever. If you tend to just get sick, infections, and tired, and your temperature is raised on a regular basis, that can be mold symptoms. Eye irritation is a big one. Sneezing, rashes, issues with mucous membranes. You sort of always have mucus or irritated throat lining. Chronic coughing on a regular basis. And depression. And I mentioned a big one is brain fog. There are hundreds of thousands of people struggling with mold toxicity on a daily basis, and they don't know it.
Yeah, that's the challenge, not knowing. In this case, what you don't know could kill you. And I'm not trying to be dramatic here. I don't want y'all to think that I'm being a drama queen, but I'm talking about that you could literally lose your life, because you literally can. If this goes untreated, unaddressed, you can literally die from this. And so the challenge is, because of the lack of knowledge a lot, If you decide to go to a medical doctor for treatment, make sure that it's a medical doctor who is familiar with this condition, that they understand that, that you have a mold problem and how to treat it and how to address it. Otherwise, they're just going to be treating the symptoms or misdiagnosing you with something else if they are not familiar with mold toxicity um, disease or problem. And the thing is, the reason why many of them are not is because it's a fairly new realization, a fairly new discovery that this is a problem. And so a lot of your medical doctors haven't been trained in this because they did not, they just are now coming to understand this over the past couple of years that this is a problem. So make sure that you find a practitioner who is aware. A big part of your recovery has to be health and nutrition. You have to make sure that you are nutrifying your body to give your body something to fight with and try to rebuild some of the or regenerate some of the damage that has happened in your body. Because trust me when I tell you there's damage. And so, what we now know, those of you who listen to the show regularly, is that nutrition is the construction crew. Nutrition will help to build up that which has broken down or that which has degenerated in your body. And depending on how long you've been exposed, that would determine how hard you have to go at it. Some people catch this early on and their numbers don't look so bad. Others, man, scary numbers in terms of their health status and need some serious intervention to try to heal some of the damage that's been done. It's very important that you identify if you have been exposed to long-term mold, the right kind of what they call a binder, so that you can sort of bind it together in your body and then be able to flush it out. And so a good binder, for instance, is something like activated charcoal or what do you call it? Glutathione. I am not sure if that's how you pronounce it. I think it is, but that's also so very, very helpful when you're trying to heal from mold. But you got to go the route of nutrition. You have to nutrify the body to give it something to work with to try to fix this problem. So there are some natural remedies that are very, very good that can help you to, move your body along the right way. Obviously, the first step is to get out of the mold because it doesn't make sense for you trying to heal your body if you're still in the moldy environment. It's like I say it all the time, pouring gasoline onto a fire you're trying to put out. You got to get out of the moldy environment. That's the first step, to identify the problem and get out of the problem and get the problem fixed. And the second step is you got to sanitize everything, make sure everything is clean around you. You may have to throw away a bunch of stuff, but it is what it is. That book is not more important than your health. And then you got to nutrify the body. There are some other things that you can do from a natural health perspective. So let's go to a clip that will talk about natural healing remedies. Then we're going to take a break and we'll look at more natural healing remedies. But listen to this, is very important. And again, like and share this show if you know anybody who is going through any of these health woes and can't figure out what's wrong, or if they work in some government office where they know that there's mold, or even a private company. Please help us get the knowledge out. People need to know what they're dealing with. But here, is that a call for the show? Okay, so here are some natural remedies that you can do to help your body heal.
A lot of times when people have mold toxicity, they go into their doctor, their medical doctor, and their doctor will say, after time, they'll say, okay, well, maybe your issue is, hey, here's a medication for this, here's a medication to treat this other symptom, hey, here's a medication for headaches, here's a medication for fatigue, and then they'll say it's all in your head. It's not in your head. There's a reason why you're experiencing some chronic health issues. One of the number one cleansers for cleansing mold from your body is bentonite clay. Now, bentonite clay, I believe, is typically found in Montana, and there are other forms of clay that are fantastic. There are clays in France that are also very effective and around the world, but clay in general, you can tell if you've ever used it, it's very sticky. Imagine that going through your body. It will bind and stick to toxins such as mold in your body, helping detoxify your system. So actually doing a cleanse where you're drinking a lot of water, doing bentonite clay, and then even doing extra fiber, let's say acacia fiber or a certain type of psyllium seed on a regular basis, that can actually help really cleanse your body. Now, bentonite clay, you wouldn't want to do that for over a month in terms of a cleanse because it'll really can start to back you up and give you constipation if you do it too long. But overall, bentonite clay is a great natural cleanser of the body, especially when it comes to mold. Another one is raw garlic. So we have a combination here where raw garlic, bentonite clay can bind to things. Raw garlic will actually kill off bad yeasts and candida and bad types of funguses and molds that get within your body there as well. Raw garlic contains a compound called allicin, which actually is a potent natural antibacterial, antifungal, so it can help kill funguses in the body in the mold family there as well. Activated charcoal will actually work very similar to bentonite clay to where it binds the toxins. You know, when somebody comes down with alcohol poisoning, this is what the hospitals will give them. And historically, they give them charcoal because charcoal will bind to alcohol, bind to all toxins, and help get those out of the body as well. But similar to bentonite clay, even more so, charcoal you'd only want to do for short periods of time because they actually bind to minerals in your body over time and can cause constipation long term. So charcoal here and there, you know, once a week or for a month-long cleanse you can do, but you wouldn't want to do it long term every day. Oregano, whether the oil of oregano is one of my favorite natural antifungals. You know, oregano is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, antiparasitic. It is one of the most powerful natural bug killers out there today. So doing oil of oregano, you could do this as part of a 1 week to a 1 month total cleanse. Again, this is actually a very strong herb or an oil, so you wouldn't want to do it over a too long period of time because it can actually start to irritate your mucous membranes in your stomach over time. If you're doing the oil, if you're just doing the leaf on a daily basis, let's say a teaspoon a day or a teaspoon 3 times a day, you'd be fine. But as an oil, doing it in small amounts is very, very powerful at actually killing off funguses within your body. Green juices. So now if you're going to do a cleanse, what I recommend is doing a cleanse where you do bone broth, veggie juice, and herbal teas. You might do an oregano tea, you might do a pau d'arco tea as well. But green juices, so this isn't carrot juice or beet juice or fruit juice. This is green juices. It's cucumber and celery, and then lots of greens. It's kale, it's spinach. Doing herbs like ginger and turmeric, lemons and limes, even wheatgrass juice, but doing really green, a very potent green juice with no sugar at all, very powerful at cleansing and alkalizing your body, really creating an environment that mold can't thrive in. So think about this when it comes to mold. Typically, it likes to grow in a warm, damp environment. Let's say, and again, Florida is a prime example, a basement or an area in the dark in Florida, very moist, very warm. That's where it likes to grow. There's also certain pHs it likes to grow, and it likes to grow on certain things. We mentioned cellulose earlier, or certain types of surfaces. Well, same thing in your body.
Okay, so really, really important that you understand that, and you do what you got to do to get it out of your body. Now, it really, really likes your intestinal tract. Loves to hide in the intestinal tract. So it's important that you get that out of there. Again, when I went abroad, I had to do daily colonics. And one thing that you want to do is you want to kill it off because it's really a pathogen. And so that it doesn't continue to create a problem in your body, you need something that's going to literally kill it off and get it out of there. One of the really great products that we have that is offered by Longevity is something called I-26 Hyperimmune Powder. That is really very good at killing off pathogens in your gut. And so I would recommend that in addition to everything else that you would have heard him talk about, you also go the route of getting something that is going to help to kill off pathogens in your gut, because mycotoxins, they will take up residence in your gut and create absolute havoc there. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to look at more natural remedies that you can do. And then we're going to talk about how you can actually kill it in your household or anywhere else safely so that you don't do more harm to yourself than good. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim fence and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
So let's dive right back into it. We're talking about toxic mold, and right now here is part 2 of natural remedies that you can actually do to help you fight this and deal with this if, in fact, you have been exposed to mold.
Sugar is one of the most damp causing foods out there and will feed fungus, mold, and candida. So getting all of that excess sugar out of the body. The good news about cinnamon is known as a warming herb in Chinese medicine, okay? So actually it can help the body in certain regards there as well, whereas Candida and funguses like to grow in a very damp environment. Cinnamon is mildly drying, which is good. It's also warming, and also it helps balance out blood sugar levels. Now again, here is one of the keys to getting rid of mold, is doing a bone broth and herbal tea cleanse. I would drink 3 things. I would do this for a week. I would only consume bone broth, herbal tea, and green juices during the day, and then at night you could do a piece of organic meat and vegetables sauteed in coconut oil, okay? So just for, all day, drink bone broth, herbal tea, green juices, and then at night do a meal. If you do that cleanse, I'm telling you, you will kill off mold very fast. You'll see radical changes in your health. And this is good as well for getting rid of candida very, very quickly, not just mold and fungal issues. Now, fix a moisture source, okay? So again, if you know that you have I would have somebody check your HVAC system or your house. If you believe that you might have mold toxicity, you can actually have mold inspectors come and test your entire home. I would do that. Also throw or get rid of any moldy items. In fact, in the Bible it talks about if you have mold in your home and you can't get rid of it, burn it down, or specifically in your tent, burn it down, because they knew in the Bible and historically that mold was so damaging to your health and body. Tea tree oil is a great essential oil that has antifungal properties. Rubbing tea tree oils on different areas of your body can be beneficial. In fact, my mom, who had a toenail fungus for years, she loves when I talk about that, but she did a mixture of oregano oil and tea tree oil on her toe, which killed off a fungus, which again is in that family of mold. Baking soda, being very, very alkaline and not as acidic, getting in more of that alkaline environment with baking soda and green juices can help get rid of mold out of your system. Vinegar, cleaning your home with vinegar and tea tree oil together, your showers or shower curtains or different things that may have mold build up is a good blend to do. Grapefruit seed extract is a good supplement to take. Hydrogen peroxide is beneficial because mold cannot live in this oxygenated environment. So hydrogen peroxide, another thing you can do, hydrogen peroxide, vinegar, tea tree oil, clean different areas of your home with that. Really, another tip here in getting rid of mold from your home is keeping humidity levels low. Really keeping, having drier air in your home is also beneficial there as well. So here's some tips that you can follow. Number 1, cleansing your body. Bentonite clay is fantastic. Raw garlic, activated charcoal, oregano, green juices, sugar, cinnamon, doing a bone broth herbal tea cleanse. And by the way, if you've ever used any of these and saw results with it getting rid of mold in your body, maybe some of those symptoms like brain fog, any issues of candida, hey, let me know that right now on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. I'd love to hear the results you've seen with doing any of these different remedies here as well. Remember, cleanse your home with some of these natural remedies such as vinegar, tea tree oil, hydrogen peroxide. If you do this, you can get rid of mold for good. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this live training. And hey, don't forget to subscribe here Monday.
Let's end that there. Okay, so now, don't get me wrong. This is not going to be easy. Mold is relentless. It takes a lot of work. And I mean, you have to go at it really hard to kill mold and to keep it under control because it's relentless. But, you got to just keep at it. I guess for the rest of my life, I'm going to have to always be vigilant when it comes to mold. Because like I tell you now, I get exposed to that and I immediately know I've been exposed again. And it's something that you have to always deal with. But know that this is not going to be easy, but that does not mean it is impossible. You just got to be on top of it. And there's a reason why mold is so hard to kill. I need audio. It's there? Okay. Yeah, there's a reason why it's so hard to kill. So again, as long as you understand this, then you'll be in a better position to actually do something about it. So let's talk about why mold is so doggone hard to get rid of.
You could say there are 2 types of mold: the good and the bad. Penicillium notatum, for example, gave rise to the drug penicillin, which by some estimates has saved at least 200 million human lives. While other molds like Aspergillus flavus produce toxins that can harm and even kill you. But whether or not you want it around, mold is everywhere. In fact, you're likely breathing it in right now, and there's pretty much nothing you can do to get rid of it. Mold is a fungus, like mushrooms, and it's made up of thousands of thread-like filaments called hyphae. It uses those filaments like roots to feed. Hyphae extend into your stale bread or rotten tomato and start releasing digestive enzymes, which are actually similar to the enzymes in our stomachs.
Molds digest their food just like we do, except if you were a mold, it would be more like just laying your face in your food and soaking up the food through your skin.
That's Kathy Hodge, a mycologist and mold maven at Cornell University. She says that by the time you actually see that fuzzy mold, hyphae are already hard at work deep below the surface. So cutting out the moldy part does little to harm the entire organism. Just like ripping off leaves doesn't kill a plant. What's worse is that molds have an incredibly broad diet. Yes, they love bread, but some species also love dead skin, soap, and even the paper covering drywall. That's according to Nicholas Money, who has authored several books on fungus.
There's a good food source for these molds lying beneath the paint, so when that structure gets wet, bam, they'll go for it.
But if there's one thing that makes molds so difficult to manage, it's this: spores. Spores are like seeds which molds use to reproduce.
They'll produce these aerial structures like little stalks, all microscopic, and then they'll form spores at the tips of those stalks. And then in response to airflow, those spores will be carried, they'll get up into the atmosphere.
A single mold can make hundreds of thousands of spores. So it's no surprise that mold counts in cities like Chicago can be as high as 125,000 spores per cubic meter.
You've got millions of tons of these spores in the atmosphere, and it doesn't look like it, right? But yeah, if you could visualize that, it would be mind-blowing, absolutely.
And they're not just outside. They're in your home. They're everywhere. To show you what I mean, I set up a little experiment in my apartment, all high school biology. These are petri dishes, and they are filled with what's called agar, which is essentially a growth medium for mold. So I'm very excited to place them around my apartment and see what kinds of mold will grow in them. I put one by my bed, another by the window, and one in my bathroom. And I left them open for about an hour to collect spores. A week later, they looked like this. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's beautiful or absolutely disgusting. The dish by the window had the most diverse assemblage, about 10 species, most of which are just common indoor molds according to Professor Hodge. And the one by my bed, where I sleep, wasn't exactly empty. Now this seems terrifying, but is it? So at least one of the molds I collected is likely Cladosporium. And according to Money,
a vast proportion of the human species is actually reactive to Cladosporium. In other words, if we get enough of the spores of Cladosporium in our lungs, they'll create some kind of an allergic reaction.
And high mold counts can also trigger asthma, he says. But it actually gets worse. You see, some molds produce nasty chemicals called mycotoxins, such as Stachybotrys or black mold.
Stachybotrys make airborne toxins, and they seem to also affect our health. Even our cognitive abilities are sometimes affected by high doses of mold toxins.
And it's actually these mycotoxins that make moldy food potentially dangerous.
Some cheese molds are actually toxin producers. For example, a particular one makes a toxin called penetrans that is a neurotoxin. So just eating lots of moldy things without knowing what mold is growing on them is probably not a great idea.
But here's the thing. For mold to actually cause you harm, there needs to be a lot of it, even if it's toxin producing. So most homes like mine are safe. And there are a lot of molds that we don't want to live without. I'm not just talking about penicillin, but molds like Polypocladium inflatum, which is used to make an immunosuppressive drug called cyclosporin. And there's this one.
This is Aspergillus niger. It's some people's favorite mold because this mold, can you see it?
Yeah, perfect.
It's adorable, isn't it? This mold makes almost all the citric acid that's produced in the world.
And citric acid is a really common food preservative and flavor additive. So the next time you're drinking soda or fighting off an infection, think of molds. They may be impossible to get rid of and frankly just straight up gross, but we definitely don't want all of them to die.
They definitely do serve a purpose, okay? It's just that you don't want them in your home or any indoor space at such high levels that they start to impact your health. That's the key. That's the big difference. Outdoor, fine, but when you are in an enclosed space and you're breathing in that toxic air every single day, that could be a problem. A big problem. So our goal is to understand that mold will be with us forever, but that does not mean that we can't control it, keep it to levels that won't cause us harm. And particularly when we're talking about indoor air quality. So do not lose hope. Do not throw your hands up in the air and say, woe is me, and I could never get rid of it, because there is something that you can do. Particularly, we talked about the natural remedies a little early in the show, but there is something to do that you can do, particularly if you do have a mold problem in your home. There is a way to kill mold within your home. So let's go to the final clip of the day. Understanding that you can kill it, but that don't mean it ain't necessarily going to come back somehow, some way, or some other mold somehow, some way. But just stay on top of it. Don't despair. You can actually kill the mold in your home.
There's no home that's immune to mold growth. And while not all mold is dangerous, how can you tell for sure? That's what this video is all about. I'm going to show you the 7 key steps for safely and effectively dealing with mold growth whenever it appears at your place. Step number 1, assess the situation. Start by identifying the full extent of mold growth in the affected area at your place. Now, this could be easy or difficult depending on your situation. As a homeowner, you can deal with moldy areas less than the size of about a sheet of plywood or so. But larger patches or moldy areas that involve some kind of sewage backup are best left to the pros. Step number 2, eliminate the moisture source. Mold only grows in the presence of moisture. That's why you need to make the area permanently dry before you can expect permanent freedom from mold regrowth. Basements are especially susceptible to water vapor infiltration through masonry walls and floors, but ventilation is not always the answer. Only ventilate basements when outdoor air is cooler than the air inside your basement. Basement ventilation during hot, humid weather only actually encourages mold growth. Step number 3, make removal decisions. Some moldy surfaces are ideal for treatment and restoration, but it's usually easier to remove and replace large areas of moldy drywall, ceiling tiles, carpet, and other non-structural materials. Wear a HEPA-rated respirator while you work to protect yourself from airborne mold spores. And here's a simple tip. Even seemingly dry basements can allow enough moisture vapor to migrate up through the concrete to trigger mold growth on cardboard. So never store anything organic directly on a concrete basement floor, especially cardboard boxes. Step number 4, dry the area. Drying out chronically moldy locations is crucial for success, and air circulation, heat, and a dehumidifier are the 3 most powerful drying tools you've got. You'll get best results if you monitor the relative humidity of the space with a hygrometer, allowing more or less outside ventilation to speed drying depending on the outdoor temperature and humidity conditions. Step number 5, kill mold, and discourage regrowth. This is where the common practice of using bleach to kill mold is actually a mistake. While the toxic nature of bleach does kill mold on hard, non-porous surfaces, it can't do a good job on surfaces that are even a little bit porous. That's because all molds send root-like structures called hyphae into porous surfaces to gather nutrients. Surface tension prevents traditional bleach in water solutions from penetrating deeply enough into wood or concrete to kill these roots. But this is one place where the new registered fungicide technologies are better than bleach for breaking the mold cycle. The most widely available non-toxic registered product that I've found so far is Concrobium Mold Control. It's a liquid that kills mold and mold spores by mechanical action, physically crushing all aspects of the mold organism as it dries. This mechanical action is how a non-toxic product like this can actually kill mold. It also discourages regrowth if the area occasionally becomes moist again. Step 6. Eliminate mold stains. Even dead mold still looks ugly, and while traditional bleach can sometimes brighten moldy surfaces, bleach is also toxic, and it often discolors surrounding areas. The best option I've found so far for removing old mold staining is a product called Mold Stain Eraser. It's an oxygen-based product that comes as a powder. Mix it with warm water, let it sit for 10 minutes, then apply the solution onto discolored surfaces up to 45 minutes after mixing. In my tests, Mold Stain Eraser removes mold stains in many situations without changing the color of surrounding materials. The active ingredient eventually reverts back to oxygen and water, so nothing harmful is left behind. Step 7. Prevent mold regrowth. Even fungicides that offer residual mold control aren't magic. Ultimately, you need to keep moisture levels down to eliminate an eventual mold relapse. And this means different things in different situations. Ensure sufficient ventilation to keep indoor relative humidity at or below 50%, especially during winter weather where it's especially cold outside. And constantly be on the lookout for roof leaks from ice dams, water coming into the basement, or chronically leaking pipes, especially in hidden places like behind washing machines or under the kitchen counter. Killing and eliminating indoor mold isn't complicated, and you don't have to expose you and your family to harmful chemicals if you do the work right. First, dry things out, then kill the mold-producing organisms, remove any mold staining, and then keep things dry. And that's all there is to it.
And again, understand that there may be a job that is too big for you to handle on your own, and therefore it is recommended that you seek out the help of a professional company that can do the job for you. And there are several here in the Bahamas. So just do your research, find out which one works best for you, and go ahead and give them a call and let them come. Most of them will come and test your place for you, check it out without charging you anything until it's time to actually treat the area. Then, of course, you're going to have to pay for that service. But if you just want to know for sure, I think there are some companies that will come out and inspect the place free of charge, just to know for sure if you are being exposed to mold, and then what level it is and what type of mold, etc. Because all of that is very, very important. Try to keep the area, a dehumidifier if you have one. I got to get back to using mine because I was very, very, I used to do that every single day, and I've fallen off quite a bit. So I got to get back to that. But a dehumidifier, especially in our environment, is a pretty good investment to just make sure that you're keeping the air dry as much as possible to minimize the moisture in the air, because we have a very, very high moisture content. Humidity levels are very, very high in the Bahamas. So you want to make sure that you're trying to keep your the air as dry as possible, so that you don't have a recurring problem with mold. Be encouraged. That's the most important thing, because I will tell you from my own personal experience, there were times where I felt despair. I felt like I will never get away from this mold. It seemed, especially when I was going through the process of healing, that everywhere I went, I was being triggered. And I was like, oh my God, will I ever get rid of it? Will I ever be free of this? Be encouraged. And make sure that you are healing your body. That's the bottom line. You gotta, once you've figured out that if this is the problem, that's just the beginning. Now you've got the work of healing your body. And that's not going to happen like in a day. It's going to take some time, especially depending on how much damage has been done to the body, how long you've been in that moldy environment. But be encouraged. Remember what I always say, your body is a healing machine. And in spite of the amount of damage that may have been done, your body can heal. It can heal, and it will heal if you get out of that toxic environment and you give your body what it needs, and you don't do any ongoing damage by introducing what it does not need to slow down the healing process. If you know anybody who is working or living in a moldy environment, please send them the link to this show. Have them watch it. Have them take this seriously. Because I dare say that a major contributing factor to all of this disease that we have in this country, much of it, yes, it has to do with diet and lifestyle, but a lot of it has to do, I believe, with indoor air quality. Many of us are walking into poison every day, not realizing it. And there's only so much nutrition can do. So let's get it together. Let's get it done. We can do this. We just have to take it seriously, take the steps to fix the problem, nutrify our bodies, and then watch yourself get better. Because I will tell you this, once you do that, your body will naturally correct itself. A big part of my major weight loss was getting out of that toxic environment and healing my gut. And then the weight just melted away. So be encouraged. I want to end the show with that. Be encouraged. I know it's hard sometimes, but you can actually beat this thing. All right? Let's do it. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for being a part of GPS on this Wellness Wednesday. I hope you got something out of this. Please like and share. And then tomorrow, be back here, same time, same place, for another provocative episode of GPS. Until then, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.